everyone, I'm Ollie and today I'll be showing you how to create the Emoji 3D brush with Procreate and Adobe Fresco. And if you like this tutorial, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all the support. So if you'd like to use the same canvas size as mine, the information is on the screen, although for this particular art piece you do not have to have any specific canvas size. To start, we want to go over to our action tool button, then we want to select add text. Now when doing this, you can decide whatever emoji you would like to choose. For my preference, I chose the sunflower emoji. Now all we need to do is just make our emoji slightly larger. So if you click the select tool in the top corner. Now if we go over to our layers, the next important step is to turn off our background color. Otherwise, our next step will not work. Now we need to save our photo. So if we go over back to our action toolbar and select share, click on PNG and then save image. Next stage, you want to go over to Adobe Fresco. Now, if you don't have that, you'll need to pop over to the Apple Store and download it. And so again, when we do enter Adobe Fresco, it doesn't matter what canvas size you use, but for preference, I will be using the current screen size, which will be displayed on the first page when you enter Adobe Fresco. Once you're in, we'll want to import our image. So the second button from the bottom, you'll select photos and select the PNG that we saved from Procreate. Now you can play around with the size, just perhaps put it centered, not too small but not too big, in the middle of your page for the next step. Click done when you're finished, and now we want to go over to our color pen tool, which is the third button from the bottom. And in the top right hand corner you can see that there's two options. You can select multicolor or singular color. We want to select multicolor. Now by using two fingers you want to pinch the screen until you fit your specific emoji in the circle. Now we're going to add it to our color palette. So selecting the color palette tool at the bottom, we want to select the add button in Recents, and now we have that permanently in our palette. Now if you go over to your brush sets, which is the top tool at the top of the screen, and go into basics and select hard round. We want to select hard rounds so that our brush shows up in the color palette. For some reason, if you use a different brush, it won't show. Similar to Procreate, this is our layer section. So you want to select the eye tool to hide our first layer, and then you want to add another layer. Now, in order to draw, make sure that you are comfortable with the sizing of your screen, so just adjust it if necessary. For more space, we're going to hide our layers, and then we're going to go over to our color palette and select our emoji brush. Moving down below, you can adjust the sizing of your brush to your comfortability. And then if we go over to properties, which is the last selection of our toolbar, and this is where you can play around with what you like. So the hardness just depends on how sharp you would like your brush. The spacing is whether or not you would like to change it to a stamp brush or not, but today we're not going to be doing that. And the angle depends exactly where you would like your brush to start and finish. Now your brush is ready for you to draw whatever you'd like, but for today I'm just going to keep it simple and write hello for you guys. Now, if you're able to do calligraphy, then you can just play around with your brush, find which size brush is suitable for you, and play around with it until you're satisfied with the results. So just using the toolbar, you can just adjust the sizing to your liking. If you find that you are struggling, then what you can do is go letter by letter. In order to do this, you'll need to go back to your layers, and then you want to select add. Now, every layer that you create now will be separate letters. So if we go back, you'll see that now, as we create our E, the position of the E will be behind the H. Now, if you wanted the E to be on top, just go back, go over to our layers, and then move the layer above our H. So now this means that our E will blend more nicely as it will sit directly on top of the H. The great thing about doing our letters individually means that if you do an E correctly but it's not in the right place, you can go over to our selection tool and you can move the E separately, as well as going back and only getting rid of the E instead of the H. I do find that when I do calligraphy, there's one letter that I hate, but because I do it all on one layer, I can't delete just that specific letter. So this is and does come in handy when practicing Now, if you did want to get rid or remove any layers, all you'd have to do is select the layer and click delete layer. Now, the next stage is to export it back into Procreate once you've finished with your ending product. So what we'll want to do is we want to go over to our share button and we want to select publish and export. Now you want to make sure that when you click export as, it's PSD and not PNG. Otherwise you won't be able to directly send it straight to Procreate. Now if it doesn't automatically come out of your drawing, if you just select gallery, it should be the first new painting in your gallery selection. Now we want to just center our painting in the middle of our page, so we're going to go over to our selection tool and just adjust it to your preferred liking. Now to really enhance our 3D look, we want to go over to our layers and we want to create a new layer. Now in this layer you want to select clipping mask, and what we're going to do is we're going to just create some shadows. Now we want to just adjust the opacity, and I lower it down to about 30%, and then we want to change it from normal to linear burn. Now going in with our monoline brush, we're just going to create some shadows now in the creases of each letter. Now you want to make sure that you change your color to black to enhance your shadow look. As you can see, our brush is only drawing exactly on our text. Now this is because we chose clipping mask. So you need to make sure that in order to avoid going out the creases, that you do turn clipping mask on your layers. So now we're just going to repeat this process in each crease of each letter. Okay, so our next step now, we want to blur out these lines so they're not too harsh and they look more like shadows rather than dark patches. So in order to do this, we're going to go over to our adjustment tools and we're going to select Gaussian blur. Now, I only do around 9%, but it depends on your preference and how dark your actual pencil was. So do keep that in mind. But again, it all depends on preference. Now to avoid any confusion, I like to merge my layers together if necessary. So what we'll do is we'll click on our first layer and select merge down. Now we have one layer. Now we want to create our second shadow, which is our shadow below. And what we want to do is slide to the left and click to duplicate. Now you want to double click and select alpha lock. We want to fill layer to black. Now we want to make sure we turn alpha lock off, otherwise we will not be able to create this shadow effect. So click on our selection tool and you want to make sure it's on uniform and snapping. If not, you just click on snapping and turn it on. Now we want to drag it down slightly beneath our word, and then we want to select distort in order to adjust it so that it looks as though it's laying flat beneath our word hello. Now we don't want our shadow to look too harsh, so what we'll do is we'll go over to our adjustment tool again and we will select Gaussian blur, and this is going to help blend our shadow out. So I do around 7%, but as you can see our shadow is slightly too harsh, so what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the opacity of it. So if we go back to our layers and select the layer our shadow is on and lower the opacity. So again, it all depends on preference, but I do around 30%. If you'd like to enhance your photo overall, you can include a background color just to complement the finishing product. You can choose any color that you like. It could be your favorite color or just a color that complements your finishing painting. Please don't hesitate to tag me in your final pieces. I would love to see how the finishing product came out, and I would love to repost them on my Instagram story. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and you can follow me on all social medias. The links are down below in the description. Bye!